Hi. Right, I thought it'd be a good idea just to show you how I set up the inline lead for bomb fishing at this time of the year. Now it's a really simple approach regarding setting it up. It takes very little time. So what I'll do is I'll show you from the beginning how I set it up and what I use for it. Now for mainline, I use Shimano Technium Invisitech. Now this is in £4, which I'm using at the moment, and it's only 0.18, which is a very fine diameter for mainline, but there's a reason. I like to use a fine line because I'm only fishing quite a light lead, let's say an 8-gram Olivet, which means that if I'm maybe casting up to 20-25 metres with this kind of weight, 8 grams, a fine line allows me to tighten up to the bomb quite quickly, which means there's less chance, as also with it being a fine line, of actually moving the lead once I've tightened up to it, which is quite important. Now, I love this line. I've been using it for quite a while now, simply because it sinks really quickly, it's strong, it's robust, but more importantly it's got a brilliant knot strength, and as well as that, because it's a fine line, it seems to couple well, it blends well with fine hook lengths. At this time of the year I'm only using, let's say, an 0.12 hook length, 0.14 hook length. I just can't see the point in using a thicker main line than this. So that's my main line. Now when it comes to actually setting the bomb up, I use two components. I use a small Olivet as a back lead, and I also use a larger Olivet, which is my main weight, which I'm going to tighten up to. Now a lot of people ask, why do you want to use a back lead? Well, the reason behind it is, maybe if you're fishing on a silt bottom it won't make much difference at all. But if you're fishing, as I've already stated, let's say casting your bomb up to an island, the chances are you're fishing on a slope, and what happens is on a slope is that will actually slide back down the main line, just a matter of inches, but pin the main line back in an area where your hook bait is. So if there's any fish feeding in that area or interested in taking your hook bait, there's less chance of them actually interfering with your main line, which means you don't get as many line bites. And there's a very good chance as a result of that that you do not spook the fish in the area looking for food. So that is the reason why I use a back lead. Now to actually, for a stopper, all I use is a Braid Stop. Now I think these Braid Stops are brilliant. I suppose you could use a gripper stop, but I find with the Braid Stops that they grip and hug the line a lot tighter, and there's a reason for that. So as I slide that on, I've just slid that Braid Stop on now. That allows me, if I need to adjust where that sits on the main line. And all I need to do now is do a loop-to-loop connection to connect my hook length. So all I do is I thread that on, as I've done there, and I do a big loop connection. So I do a nice big loop like that, and all I do is a figure of 8 knot. Wet the knot, pull it tight, and there we have it, a nice big loop. Now the reason why I like to use a big loop is it allows me to change hook lengths with bait on. So I can actually keep the bait on the hook length and just drop the bait through the loop. So if I want to swap from, let's say, a hairy grain of corn to a pellet, I can do so without actually putting bait on my hook length. It's already loaded up, I just need to swap hook lengths. Very simple and very quick. And with there being no connection as regards to, let's say, a quick stop bead, as I've already stated, then all I have to do if I want to lengthen my hook length is just move that up the line like that. Very, very simple setup. Now connecting my hook length is as easy. So here's my hook length, this is 10 inches long. All I do is I get the mainline loop and I put it through the hook length loop, if I can find it, like so, and put the hook through the big loop. Just drop it through like that and pull it tight, and there we go. It's as simple as that. Now for hook lengths, I like to use Shimano Aspire Silk Shot. Now, need I say any more? This line is just brilliant. I use it for everything. Very strong, very robust, very, very good knot strength, which is key for carp fishing, especially when at this time of the year I want to use a fine line. So that's it, all set up. Just bring that down. As you can see now, I've got it all set up and ready to fish with. So have a go with this setup because you'll be impressed with the results, and best of luck. Right, let's talk about bait options for the bomb now. I like to keep things very, very simple. There's two options I like to use. My first option would always be corn. Now, there's corn and there's corn. And I've been using this Scopex corn for many years. Dynamite Scopex corn is absolutely brilliant, simply because the grains are quite big and it's a very bright yellow corn. Now, they're the two major factors, but also it's got, as I've said, Scopex. Now, what I find in the cold water, that the fish can scent that Scopex. And if, let's say, you're not even feeding any bait and you're fishing a single grain of corn, the Scopex seems to create an aroma in that area where your hook bait is, and the fish can sense that, they can smell it. And especially in cold water, you'll find that scents, let's say like Scopex, hang in the water a lot longer. So if you've not had a bite for a while and you've retrieved your bait, there's still a scent of Scopex in that area. So when you cast back in that area, you'll find you catch a lot quicker with Scopex corn because the fish are there knowing that there's some kind of food scent. So that's the main reason why I like to use Scopex corn. Now, my other bait choice for pellets is Dynamite Bait Swim Stim pellets. Now, these are absolutely brilliant. They've got secret additives in there which leak out of the pellet when you're actually fishing with them. So obviously in certain situations on commercial fisheries you're not allowed to feed these, but for hook bait I will always opt for these. They're hard as well, and they've got they're very well made, they're very uniform in shape. So you'll find that let's say if you're fishing a bomb and pellet for quite a while, it's very, very rare that you actually need to change the pellet because it's gone soft. They hold the shape very well, which is very important. So just two bait options there. Keep it simple, and you're using the right bait options, especially for the winter, for the fish to pick out.